Conference play for college football has finally arrived. The NFL had a frightening week with injuries and fan fights, and the MLB playoff race is coming down to the wire. All this and more coming up on College Crossfire.
What are those? Coming back to that 2021 MVP. He's better than Josh Allen. He's better than Baker Mayfield. He's not better than Mahomes. I can't say that.
What the really kick, you get kicked. So,
You know, bags of money or whatever, some food inside of them. Okay. All right. We're gonna keep on.
Good evening, and welcome into the most renowned sports show on the planet. I'm your official host, Ryan Swantkowski, and we have a great show for you this evening. Before meeting our contestants, I want to share with you that today's show is brought to you by Cap Metro, Austin's transit system. We connect you to work, school, play, and everything in between. Plan your ride to this weekend's game at capmetro.org. All right, let's go ahead now and meet the players of the game tonight. Introducing first, the College Crossfire Week 2 winner and a man with some very hot takes, Michael Alvarez. Michael, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. As I stand by those hot takes I made last week. You know, it got me where I needed to be, and I'm just excited to be here.
Wonderful. Welcome back. Glad to have you here. In our second chair, we have a new contestant entering the ring with his first Crossfire appearance, Grabiel Silva. How are we doing, Grabiel?
I feel pretty good. You know, first time on the show. I'm excited to, get after it. You know, I'm next to a reigning champ, and, I might learn some things on the way. So,
Wonderful.
Excited.
Wonderful. Well, welcome to Texas Student Television. We love having you here. And last but definitely not least, another newcomer to the show and to the TSTV group, Zach Davis. Zach, how are we feeling?
Just great to be here. I know there's a couple guys with me on stage tonight, but you got to come out and you got to think you're going to win. So that's what I'm here to do, and that's what's going to happen within the next hour. So looking forward to it.
I love the confidence. Thank you all for being here. I'm very excited to get started as well. So before that, though, let's go over the rules of the game just in case you've never tuned in before. There will be 3 rounds, with each round containing 3 questions, and points will be given to who I believe has the best answer in order of 3 points, 2 points, and 1 point. Whoever has the most points at the end of the 3rd round wins and gets to come back for next week's show as well. But we can't forget that the 3rd round and final round, or the rapid fire round, is worth double the points. That meaning the best answer will receive 6 points and so on. Also in this rapid fire round, the contestants have not been able to see or prepare for these questions whatsoever, meaning they will have to improvise, overcome, and just hopefully not get caught in the crossfire. Now that the game is explained, let's get to firing. The Longhorns beat the Wyoming Cowboys by a final score of 31-10 on Saturday, but now move into Big 12 play as they face off against the Baylor Bears this coming weekend. The Horns are 3-0 and the Bears just 1-2, but as anyone knows, anything can happen in the Big 12. For this game, what do you believe the score will be, and who will be the biggest impact player as well? Michael, we're going to start with you.
You know, when I thought about this game, I've been watching Texas all year, so I didn't really look at them. But I looked at Baylor, and Baylor, they're confusing me right now. I mean, they play really awful against Texas State and then flip around and have a good game against Utah, drop a close one there. But this game, Texas offense can be iffy at times, but I really trust in their defense. I think they hold Baylor to under 20 points. I'll give probably Baylor 14-17. So I'm going to go with a 34-17 win for the Horns. And the biggest impact play I see is Xavier Worthy, because as you saw last week, if he can get himself in the open field, he's really electric. He's a really dynamic player. I mean, I love to see the guy when he performs. I really miss his freshman year style. He's starting to try to get back into that groove a little bit, and I think he is the guy I would look out for Texas to win this game.
Okay, fair enough. Xavier Worthy, like you said, has seemed very more comfortable, and I'm with you with Baylor's offense being very shaky as well. What you got, Grabiel?
For this game, Baylor, like he said, they're a really confusing team. I believe that Texas is going to come away with it. I think they're going to score. It's going to be very similar to the Wyoming game. Hopefully not as slow of a start. But, the score might be similar. Maybe another touchdown by Baylor. I'd go maybe 38-17. I think the biggest impact player will be Quinn Ewers. His play is going to be key to the Texas offense. He started off sluggish against Rice and against Wyoming. But if he can play like he played against Alabama, that'll be key for their win this Saturday.
Absolutely. I like the Quinn call there because he is that pivotal piece of the offense, and I do like the scoring margin you gave as well. Let's hear it, Zach.
Well, this is going to be quite a game. This is Texas's first game in the Big 12, and it is also away. At the same time, it is Baylor's first home game in the Big 12, and also their biggest home game as well. It's a lot of home and away. They are great. They've been playing well. They've took a tough loss against Utah, but their offense is great. They are old. They are experienced. Texas looks shaky against Wyoming. My favorite matchup this week is the true freshman versus redshirt freshman and Alvin Ebeles for Baylor versus Anthony Hill for Texas. Anthony, if he gets to the quarterback and forces it out of the Baylor's quarterback's hands early, their defense will struggle. On offense, for Texas, they have to spread the ball. They have to keep Baylor guessing. They cannot stay one-dimensional and try to take the field. They cannot stay one-dimensional and just run the ball. They have to do a mix of both. They have to keep the receivers wide, run RPOs, get the ball going, get the ball downfield, and Baylor will struggle. I think this is going to be a great game. I think Baylor is going to come out strong. I would not be surprised if they're winning in the first half, but Texas has proven to be a second-half team so far. I think they come out 35-27.
Wow. 35-27. Love the analysis there, by the way. Okay, I see you out here. Welcome to the show, people. welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is what it's all about. Great answers from all three people, all three of our contestants here. I'm going to give Grabiel the 3, actually. I like your scoring prediction the best. I do think Texas will pull out, will eventually take the lead late in the game, and it be by a good margin. Zach, I'm going to give you the 2. I really liked your analysis there. I like the Anthony Hill matchup as well. And Mike here, I'm going to give you the 1 point to start off the show. Moving to question 2. In Texas head coach Steve Sarkisian's Monday press conference, he was asked about playing Big 12 teams and keeping the rivalries going after moving to the SEC next season. He said it's a challenge for that to happen and that simply, quote, can't play everybody, unquote. Outside of Oklahoma, who do you think has had the best rivalry with Texas in the Big 12 over the past 10 years? And Grabiel, we're going to start this one with you.
In my opinion, I think that Texas' biggest rival this past decade, I would say Oklahoma State. You know, going into Stillwater every other year, it was like, it's a really like scary sight to think of, because you know, like in 2018, Texas had that terrible loss when they were a top 10 team, and it really hurt. Last year, the blown lead, Queen Ewers' terrible play there in Stillwater. You know, so. Compared to the other teams in the Big 12, you know, Texas, they may have struggled against them, but, you know, Oklahoma State, they were always like a thorn in their side. So I think I would go with Oklahoma State as their biggest rival.
Okay. I respect that answer a lot. Oklahoma State has caused numerous problems for the Longhorns in the past, especially last year with Quinn as well. All right. Zach, what you got?
I'm going to have to go with the Battle of the Horns. TCU versus Texas has been an interesting matchup in the past decade. In history, it has not been like this at all. From 1968 to 1991, UT won every game. That's 24 straight. 24 straight. But recently, TCU has proven to play with us. They won last year in Austin, and they bring it year in and year out. They had a great season last year, and it's going to be a challenge once again this year as it's in Fort Worth. So yeah, the Texas's biggest rivalry, especially in the Sarkisian era, has been the fight of the horns.
I like that. The fight of the horns, very clever there. I like the analysis yet again. I agree with you. I think TCU has been a very big problem as well for the Longhorns, especially in the Sark era, like you said. All right, Mike, round us off.
I'm torn between, I was going to say Oklahoma State, so I'm going to flip to 2 other teams I think. I'm going to pick between one. Tech. They're interesting to me because it can either be a crazy shootout or a blowout. So I'm going to take my side away from Tech. I'm going to go towards Iowa State because that's always an interesting game for me. I mean, going to Ames always feels like it's a trap game because every time they usually play Iowa State, it's in Ames and it's towards the later events of fall and early winter, so it's really cold up there. So I mean, it's always tight. The defenses there always shake out easily. I mean, it's always a close game. Usually both teams are bad or both teams are decent whenever they play each other. That's how I always looked at it. So I mean, I always either see like a low-scoring game or a high-scoring game. My last favorite one I watched was probably Sam's last year. They lost at home against Iowa State, but I mean that was a tough game. I really like seeing that one. So I mean, I would go with Iowa State.
Okay, I actually really like that answer of Iowa State. I mean, this year Iowa State has not been great whatsoever, but in the past 5-10 years, Iowa State has been a very big problem for UT. So great answers across the board. I'm going to give the 3 here to Zach. I really think TCU has been the biggest thorn in Texas' side, especially in the Sark era, like you said. I'm going to give the 2 here to Michael. I actually really like the Iowa State call. I think on the road, especially like you said, has been so much trouble for the Longhorns. And not that your answer is wrong whatsoever. Oklahoma State's been a problem too, but I'm going to give you the 1 here before we move into our third question of the first round. This upcoming weekend slate of college football has some monumental matchups, such as Arkansas versus LSU, Colorado versus Oregon, and plenty of more as well. It seems as if this week is really where the college football landscape will start to fall into place more. Of these games, which do you think will be the best to watch, and why? Zach, we're going to start with you for this one.
I'm going to have to go to Tuscaloosa. Ole Miss versus Alabama is a game I am really looking forward to this week. Alabama is young. They just got away playing South Florida. They are not a great team. Ole Miss is old, and Quinshon Judkins has been killing it as a sophomore running back against a struggling defensive line in Alabama. I think Saban is a prove-it game for him, and I think Milroe needs to really prove himself this week. I don't think they're going to be able to. Alabama's won 7 straight games against Ole Miss, and I think that streak ends this week. I think there's going to be havoc in Tuscaloosa this weekend, but a lot of happy faces across the country.
Wow. Okay, I like the call a lot. I think that's going to be a really pivotal game for both programs, especially after we've seen Alabama struggle a little bit this year. Okay, Michael?
I'm going to go with the game that I never thought I'd probably see as a great game, and that's in the Pac-12's final year, Utah versus UCLA. I mean, whenever you see these two teams, they're usually both really bad, especially UCLA. I don't think I've ever in my lifetime seen a good UCLA team, but I'm going to stop dissing UCLA. But, I mean, they're 3-0. They hopped in the rankings this week. They're 22. Utah, the team that kicked USC out of the college football playoff last year, has shown that they're a good team this year, too. They're number 11. It's an interesting matchup to me. I mean, I can't give a big analysis on it because I don't know these two teams. I mean, I don't ever watch these two teams, but it's a game I think I'm going to tune into for sure because I'm just like, I want to know if UCLA is legit. Because Utah, I can see Utah going and winning 10 games a year, but UCLA usually sits in like the 4 or 5 range. So I want to see 3-0 if this is a bust or it's a big break for them. So that's just what I'm looking for.
Okay, we're talking about some Pac-12 action going on in here. I like it. I think UCLA has some good teams, but you're right, also some not good teams. And for Utah, let's see if they can finally get over that hump. So I'm with you. All right, Grabiel, wrap us up.
I think the biggest game, that should be circled on everybody's calendar this weekend is going to have to be in South Bend, Indiana. Ohio State heading in to play against Notre Dame. It's a really big game early in the season, a top 10 matchup. Either team, they can't really afford to slip up. Ohio State later in the season they have Penn State and Michigan. They have to go to the Big House later this season. So slipping up early against Notre Dame could hinder their playoff chances. And on the flip side, Notre Dame, while they do have Ohio State, they do play USC in a couple weeks. They play Clemson later in the season. So they have a couple big games, that they could still pick up some momentum. But this is a really big early season matchup, and see how it goes.
Absolutely. I like the call a lot. 2 top 10 teams going at it in South Bend this year, and I like both those teams a lot this year as well. Giving out the points for this final question. Grabiel, I'm going to go with you with the 3. I like how your answer, obviously, but I also liked how you mentioned they still have other chances down the road with USC as well and Clemson. Let's see if they can pick it up. That'd be a big game as well. Zach, I'm going to give you the 2. Absolutely love that this is a huge game for Bama, whether you like it or not, and Saban as well. And to wrap things up, Michael, I'm going to give you the 1 for this final question of the first round. That'll wrap things up for the first round. Don't go anywhere. College Crossfire. We'll be right back. back into College Crossfire. Let's get a quick score update for you. Zach and Grabiel are both tied with 7 for first, and we have Michael right behind him, though, with 4. Let's now shift gears a little bit into some different topics. The NFL this week had some action-packed football with several close games. After this past week finished, 9 teams remain undefeated, these being the Eagles, 49ers, Commanders, Ravens, Falcons, Bucks, Cowboys, Dolphins, and Saints. Of all of these teams, which do you think is the weakest and why? And we're actually going to start with Zach here on this one.
I'm going to have to go with the Washington Commanders. They've played 2 teams who are not by no means great. They've played the Cardinals and the Broncos. They had a great comeback at Denver. They came back from 24-3. They scored 32 straight points, and they closed out after the Hail Mary, but their team is just not looking great. Sam Howell has played 3 games. He is 3-0 as a starter, but their offensive line has proven extremely weak. Brian Robinson has had 1 run over 20 yards throughout the whole year. And yeah, Ron is kind of giving up the team, Ron Rivera's giving up the team, giving the offense to Benimi and giving the defense to Jack Del Rio. He's kind of sitting back and letting the team do his thing, but this Washington Commanders team has not proven themselves. They're in a very difficult conference with the Eagles and the Cowboys. They have a very difficult schedule, having to play the Bills, having to play the Jets, having to play the Dolphins. It goes on. So the Commanders are a solid team. I'm not by no means saying they're a bad team, but with their schedule, they're still going to struggle to get into the playoffs being 2-0.
Great points there. I think through weeks 1 and 2, they played some really bad teams or just not very respectable teams, and I do agree that they're kind of sitting back, and they're in a very tough conference as well, so I can see that for sure. Michael, what you got?
I'm going to have to go with the Bucks. I am nowhere near sold on Baker Mayfield. I mean, the last time you can ever say Baker Mayfield was kind of relevant in the NFL was his early days in the Browns. And, I mean, he had 2 giant targets there with Odell and Jarvis Landry when they were still kind of in their prime, and he showed that did not work out at all. And then, I mean, they're 2-0, but right now, I mean, I am liking his connection with Mike Evans. That is interesting. Their defense is always going to hold up. That's a great defense. That's a top 5 defense, in my opinion. But shaking off, I mean, they win the first 2 games by 1 score. I don't know. I don't think Baker Mayfield can be consistent enough to keep this team going. Just like, I mean, Brady last year. I mean, I know it was his last year, but he's still the GOAT, and he had a struggle with barely snuck into the playoffs. I don't see them winning more than maybe 6 or 7 games this year, if that.
Okay. Well, I respect the Baker Mayfield take. I've never truly been a believer in Baker Mayfield. And the defense, top 5 defense, you think so? Wow. Okay. Well, I respect the answer. I like it a lot. Grabiel, what you got?
I'm going to have to go with the New Orleans Saints here. You know, they haven't played like any top competition lately. This past week they barely struggled to score any type of points against the Carolina Panthers, and I feel like Derek Carr he has been doing good at the helm, but it isn't anything to like noteworthy. So I think the Saints they might get off easy with being in such a terrible conference, the NFC South, but I feel like the Saints, if you met them in the playoffs, that'd be the team you want to play first because they're nothing.
I like how you ended up there. They're nothing. I agree with you. The division's weak, but I'm not a full believer in the Saints yet as well. Too many moving pieces. Alvin Kamara suspension. There's a lot going on in New Orleans. It's just kind of a clouded little mess over there. Great answers across the board. Truly, all 3. I expected all 3 of those to be chosen answers. I'm going to give Michael the 3 though. I'm not a believer in the Bucs quite yet. Offensively, I understand Mayfield has been playing great. I don't expect that to keep up. It's Baker Mayfield at the end of the day, and they need better competition too. They have not been playing great teams quite yet. Vikings are fine, but they're 0-2. With the 2 points, I'm going to give it to Grabiel. I agree with you with the Saints. They're talented across the board. I just don't really see them really coming together in the long run. And I'm going to give Zach the 1. Don't mind the answer whatsoever. I just think the other 2 are a little bit better. So we're going to move into our second question now. This NFL week was also action-packed in other, more sad ways. Key players such as Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Waddle, and others all got injured. And there were also several fights that occurred in stadiums across the league. In your opinion, is this just part of the game, or is there something we can do about all these issues? And we're going to start right here with Grabiel.
I think the injuries are a big part of the game. It's a part of life in playing such a brutal sport like the NFL. You can't really prevent a terrible knee injury like Nick Chubb or an ankle injury like Saquon Barkley. Concussions, they have taken a great step in trying to prevent concussions, but at the end of the day, some of this stuff it's just the way it goes. But outside of the field, fan stuff, I think that is very easily preventable. Fans can't be that rowdy, causing havoc in the stands. It's just a football game, guys. But like it's not worth losing your life or going to jail over. So I think it's a mix depending on the situation.
Okay, I like that call. It is indeed a mix, and I think the fan stuff has just been crazy. This past weekend, I saw 4 fights, and it was just madness. It was chaotic. I respect the answer. Okay, Zach, what do you got?
I'm going to have to go yes and no on this answer. I hate to be that guy, but there's just some things you can prevent, and there's some things you cannot. This is a very competitive league, and these are some of the hardest hitters in the world. Some examples are like Logan Thomas. What happened to him this weekend with Kareem Jackson hitting him in the red zone, that is 100% preventable. That is 100% something that should not be happening. That's an injury that should be prevented. He did get suspended. The NFL did the right thing, but again, stuff like that cannot be happening. On the other side of on the field, though, what happened to Nick Chubb, what happened to DeMar Hamlin last year, that's just stuff you cannot do. That's part of the risk of playing in this league. That's part of the risk of going against some of the hardest hitters in the world. So I'd like to answer it yes and no, because there are things that can be stopped, but some things are just going to happen to you.
Yeah, that's why I asked this question. It's a very complicated answer because some things yes, some things no. So I really like the answer that you just gave. All right, Mike, round us off.
I mean, injuries, you never. It's a contact sport at the end of the day. You're not going to be able to stop an injury from happening. I mean, they've taken strides since the big hits back in the day about certain rules about type of hits you can do. And at the end of the day, it still hasn't really worked that well. I mean, yes, there's been less concussions, but you can't stop a twisted ankle, can't stop a broken leg, because sometimes it's just how it ends up in the bottom of a pile. And then if you go to the fans fighting, I mean, you can definitely stop that. I don't understand how that even happens. I mean, I personally, didn't someone pass away from a fan fighting?
Sadly, yes.
Rest in peace to whoever that was. My condolences to their family, because that is awful. That's not the type of stuff should never happen. I think it starts off with alcohol sales. I mean, you might start banning that from the arenas, because I mean, if you mix alcohol and your team doing awful, that's not a good mix at all. That just keeps a rage, and you might start hitting each other, and obviously it resulted in a really bad ending. So I mean, I think yes, injuries are going to happen. You can't control that. Fan fighting should never stop.
Yeah, I agree with you. Maybe that's part of the mix, but I really wanted to ask this question because it seems both these are very huge issues among the NFL. So I appreciate the answers across the board. Love them all. I think they were all very accurate and very correct. But best explanation, I got to give it to Zach here. I like how you brought up the Logan Thomas thing, where that hit seemed, if you haven't seen it, go look it up. The hit seemed absolutely just should not have happened. And then there's other things that, like you said, you can't prevent. With the two, I'm going to give it to Michael. I like your explanation. I think there are some things that can be done about fan interference as well. And Grabiel, I like your answer as well, but I'm going to give you the one here to finish off the second question of the second round. Switching over to the MLB, the wild card race is neck and neck right now, and it seems like it's been that way for over a month now. Looking at all the teams currently in the wild card spots in both the AL and the NL, who is your favorite to make a run in the playoffs, and why? Michael, we're going to start with you.
Right now, they're not a definite wild card team, but they're sitting at the second AL West. I'm going to go with the Texas Rangers. They've had a great year. They've been neck and neck with the defending champ Astros, and then also the Mariners kind of sneaking in there too. But the Rangers team's been, I really like watching them play this year. I mean, Joe's going to love this answer. I know that. He's a huge Rangers fan. But, yeah, I mean, that team, they could also still pop to the front, and the Rangers could, I mean, the Astros could drop back to the second because they're only half a game behind. But if they were to sit right now and they were to sit the 6th seed, I think they would make a big run. I mean, they're going to run to the Astros in the second round if they make out the first round, and that would be a tough battle, and that would be a great watch. But right now, I'd probably look at the Rangers to make some type of run from the wild card.
Okay, I respect that answer. Their offense, especially, has been phenomenal. They've had a few pitching injuries, a few issues over there, the bullpen, but their offense, purely through and through, is very loaded. Grabiel, what you got?
For my pick, I'm gonna have to go with the Philadelphia Phillies. You know, they're starting to hit their strides. They have a really potent offense. You know, with Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper, and you know, their pitching, they can keep up with anybody. You know, they have one of the better records in the National League. You know, it's just unfortunate that they're in the same division as the Atlanta Braves. So, you know, they're guaranteed a wild card spot. But, you know, just like last year, they were a wild card team, and they made a run. So I think they have, you know, the experience to, you know, rekindle that same magic that they had last year and possibly go on another run.
Yeah, I like Schwarber a lot. I like Harper. They got some heavy hitters. They got some good pitching. They got some experience as well. So I like that answer a lot. Zach, round us off.
I'm going to have to go to Phoenix with the Arizona Diamondbacks. They have just swept the Cubs, who are also in the playoff race. They've been playing hot. They've been playing well. They are currently, I think they're in the second spot, and they have 5 out of 9 of their starters above above 3.333. That's the better way to put it. They're above .333 in the second half of the season for getting on base. So over half of their lineup gets on base over a third of the time. Zach Gallen has been killing it this far in the season, and I don't think any team in the AL, let alone the MLB, are going to want to play him come October.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Zach Allen's been killing it. The Diamondbacks kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. We were pretty bad 2 years ago, now really competing for the wild card spot and could make a run as well, so I agree with you there. Great answers across the board. I'm going to give the 3 to Grabiel. I just think the Phillies' offense is truly too loaded, too many heavy hitters, and they're experienced. They've been there before. They kind of know what they're doing. I'm going to give the 2 here to Zach. I like your answer to the Diamondbacks. They got some young core players over there. I think they're just going to keep getting better, and I think they got a shot to make a run. And Michael, I'm going to give you the 1. Again, not a wrong answer per se. I just think their bullpen has not been great enough, and too many injuries pitching-wise. So that'll wrap things up, though, for the second round. We've got scores coming after we come back, and we've got rapid fire as well. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. You won't want to miss it. Welcome back into College Crossfire. We have a tight game right now with still tied in first place, Grabiel and Zach with 13, and we got Michael rounding them off with 10. But it's still anyone's contest to take as we enter into the final round of tonight's show that's worth double the points. And my advice to the contestants, don't get caught in the crossfire. Pretty simple, guys. Let's get into our first question of the night. The NFL this week had some wild games, from Titans versus Chargers and Seahawks versus Lions heading to overtime, offensive linemen catching passes, and Hail Mary catches being caught. It was a week that surely will never be forgotten. In your opinion, what is the wildest NFL play you have ever seen or watched before? And anybody can answer. Go ahead.
I can start us off, and I think I can speak for all 3 of us by saying the Saints-Vikings wildcard game that ended with the missed tackle that put Stephon Diggs in the red zone. That was both some of the best commentating, some of the best NFL moment, one of the best NFL moments I've ever seen in my entire life. Seeing Stephon Diggs walk in and seeing whoever that was that just came on and just hugged Diggs while he looked at the entire Saints stadium and just put his hands up. It was remarkable. It was something that I don't think I will never forget myself. I don't think any of us could ever forget an NFL moment like that, let alone all of sports. It's one of those things where you look up on YouTube, like favorite or like top sports moments of all time. That's like right there. So yeah, that's my answer.
Fair enough. Other 2, go for it.
I'm going to have to go with Super Bowl with the New England Patriots and Seattle Seahawks. You know, that Malcolm Butler interception, that's just monumental. You know, in the moment, you know, I'm a young kid, you know, middle of the Seahawks bandwagon. I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm rooting for the Seahawks to win. I don't like Tom Brady. And then you just see him. You just see Russell Wilson throw an interception at the goal line, and it like rips your heart out as a young kid. You know, so that was like one of the first like, wow, that was crazy moments that I've ever witnessed in my life.
Fair enough. Tom Brady hater right here, ladies and gentlemen. Mike?
I have to take mine back to like, I think it was 2019. It was the Texans versus the Chiefs, first round of the playoffs. Texans went up 24-0 in the first quarter, and then by halftime, I think the game was tied. So I was like, Jesus Christ. I remember I was watching the first half. I was watching the first quarter. I'm like, no way the Chiefs are about to blow it like this. I leave. I come back at halftime. I think they're either tied, they're winning, or they're only down by 3. And like, this is insane. And they go on to win that game by 10+ points. So I mean, that just shows how much. I'm a big fan of Patrick Mahomes. Especially in Madden, love that guy. But moving from that, I mean, it's just that offense. I mean, and then they went on to lose the Patriots, obviously, in the divisional or in the championship, the AFC championship, and that was a heartbreaker. Obviously, Tom Brady, love the guy, but I understand why you don't like him. And that team was just, that game to me was just insane. I mean, I thought the Texans, it wasn't their year, but I mean, I thought that team was really going to make something happen in the playoffs, and then sadly they couldn't hold for a quarter after that, but it is what it is.
Man, do you know what team I'm a fan of?
Yeah,
Come on, you're coming on the show here with the host. You're dissing me out here. What's going on?
I'm knowing.
Come on now.
It's gonna be all right.
I'm kidding.
It's gonna be all right.
I'm kidding. Great answers across the board. I'm not going to announce the points for this round and who got what, but great answers across the board. We're going to move into the second question. The NBA has been working on a new policy regarding resting star players during the regular season. Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, regarding the excessive rest of star players, stated, "That's what we're trying to move away from." In your opinion, do you believe players should be allowed to rest from time to time, or not rest at all, etc.? What do you think?
I think they should be able to. You know what? Nah, I don't think they should rest at all. What? You're in the NBA. Your job is to literally play basketball, and you make millions playing basketball. And you're tired. You don't want to play this game, so you're like, I'm just going to sit on the bench. Especially Kawhi Leonard. No diss to him. Actually, full diss to him. I don't care. I don't understand that. He sits out half the season, and then comes back. Maybe comes back for playoff time. And it's just, I mean, I don't like the Clippers anyway. I'm a Lakers fan. Well, I'm a LeBron fan, but it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I don't think they should rest at all. I think if they're able to play the dang game, bro. Come on, that's what the fans come out to see. They come out to see you play. Imagine going to a Lakers or Clippers game, and then you see the two players you come out there, LeBron versus Kawhi, and they're both resting. You know what I mean? It's just like, why I paid all this money to do that? It would break my heart, but that's what I would say. I don't think they should rest at all.
Very true. We got a LeBron fan. We got a Madden fan. I'm loving it. All right. Yep. Either one of you two can go.
I'm gonna have to go with, I think they should rest, from time to time. But this every other game nonsense, it's hurting the sport. Like a lot of people, they tune in for these games, late night TNT, and then you go and half the team's on the bench, and you're like, well, what is this? There's no point in watching. It hurts viewerships, it hurts the fans. But these players, they have a long and grueling season. Plus, with the playoffs added on, especially for like contending teams, unlike the Clippers. But I believe that they should be allowed to rest from time to time, help keep their body fresh, to maybe bring home a championship. So I think, time to time is probably the best option.
Okay, fair enough. Zach?
I think anyone should expect any player on their team to play 82 games. That should be the standard. That's what you're getting paid for. And guys, like, imagine going to a game as a kid. Like, for Christmas, you get to see Steph Curry versus LeBron James play, and they're both not playing because they're tired. Are you kidding me? They're playing Friday night. They played 2 games before this week, and now they want to sit out. It's unbelievable. These guys get paid millions and millions of dollars, and they choose to sit on the bench. What Kawhi has been doing the past couple of years, like you said, it's just been dumb. Like, it's unfair to the players. It's unfair to the organization. The Clippers have been struggling to get into the playoffs, and once these teams do get into the playoffs, they don't know what to do because some of their guys barely play. So they don't know what their strategy is, and they just don't know how to operate. So I think the expectation to be, if I'm paying you a supermax contract, you are going to play for me. That should be going without saying. And the fact that it's gone so high that Adam Silver now had to make a statement saying these guys have to play is ridiculous.
Yeah. Fair enough. Great answers across the board. I really love the passion we're feeling over here. You can feel it in their voices. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. Again, not going to say the scores. We're going to go into our final question of the night, and it is a close one. I will tell you that. Colorado football head coach Deion Sanders is in partnership with the sunglass company Blenders and has his own pair of sunglasses called the Prime 21s. After this past weekend, the sales went through the roof when Colorado State head coach Jay Norvell stated to the media, "When I talk to the media, I take my hat and sunglasses off." Deion took this quote and ran with it, gifting his sunglasses to his team and outside media figures such as Pat McAfee. If you were a coach and could be a sponsor for any company, who would it be and why? Anybody can go at any time. Take your time.
It's a great question. If I could choose any company, I think I would choose In-N-Out, because if I could get, if I have to, they're gonna get a Zach Davis burger. That's 2 double cheeseburgers with extra special sauce and grilled onions, and I will get that for unlimited. And that's also the best thing on the menu, which will be killed. So, yeah, I think In-N-Out's got to be the right play. It's great food, and who can argue against In-N-Out?
Okay. Fair enough. I got an In-N-Out lover. What about Whataburger? Is that a fair argument? No?
In-N-Out is much better than Whataburger.
Okay. That might be the hottest take of the show. Oh, we got some boos in the crowd. Oh, no. Okay.
We'll give him that because he's not from Texas, so he doesn't know. But if I were to pick anything, I'm going the luxurious lifestyle. Give me like Ferrari or like a Lamborghini or something. If I'm pulling up to a press conference in a Ferrari, I'm pulling up to a game of Ferrari, I'm walking a Ferrari jumpsuit to the games. Oh my God, that'd be so tough. Yeah, I mean, I can give my best players Ferraris. Oh, you got to earn it though. You can't be a bad player and have a Ferrari. Come on, that's crazy. If you're good, I'll get you a Ferrari. Why not? But I mean, that you can pop in Ferrari commercials. You know, I mean, that would be so fun. I mean, it's also based out of Italy. I pop up to Italy sometimes, and I'm rocking my Ferrari in Italy. That's what I would do. So I mean, if I were to pick anything, I'd go with the Ferrari.
Okay, luxurious lifestyle. I like it.
I'm gonna have to go with the food route also, but not in the way with In-N-Out. I think I'd want my own, George Foreman type of grill. I feel like that'd be something kind of cool. Like you're just laying in your house. You're like, oh, let me go make some food. And you're like, oh, let me go get my sponsored grill from the cabinet. I think that's pretty cool. So I think I would go with like a appliance type of deal, and spread that out everywhere.
Okay. Well, very, very interesting answers across the board. We have a personal grill that you can pull out of your cabinet. That's pretty cool. You got In-N-Out burger. Who doesn't love In-N-Out? And we have Ferrari. So excellent answers across the board by our panelists, but there can only be one winner. And after adding up the total, our winner tonight is indeed Grabiel. Grabiel is our winner tonight. Excellent answers across the board. And we can get a little round of applause for Grabiel. It was very, very close, I'll tell you that. Do we have time for FaceTime, Sam?
Yes.
Okay. What would you like to say to the crowd?
First and foremost, I want to say thank you to my family, my girlfriend, and my friends who are back home watching. I know y'all are watching. I want to say thank you for tuning in and supporting. I want to say thank you to Zach and Michael for providing me some good competition. Ryan being such a great host. Sam directing here, and Goose in the background. Your Falcons team's still a fraud though, but I'd like to say thank you to everybody who's tuning in and watching, and I'm blessed to take the win. Thank you.
Actually, that was the best FaceTime I've ever heard in my entire life. That was so wholesome. That was so sweet. I love it. Congrats to you again, Grabiel, and that will wrap things up for us here at TSTV tonight. Thank you to everyone who makes the show possible, from the contestants to the in-studio personnel, all the people in Master Control, and to you, the audience, especially. I'm your host, Ryan Swantkowski, and we will see you next week.